HOA Karen threw Grandma's cane in trash, didn't know my sister's a criminal lawyer. The moment I saw Grandma's cane in the trash, my stomach churned like I'd swallowed a fistful of nails. It wasn't just any cane, it was the one she'd carved herself. Her initials etched into the handle, her lifeline for the past decade. And there was Karen, the HOA president, smirking like she'd just won a war, oblivious to the storm she'd unleashed. I'm Lila, a 28-year-old graphic designer who moved into this cookie-cutter suburban neighborhood to help care for my 82-year-old grandmother. Esther. She's the kind of woman who'd bake cookies for the mailman and tell you stories about her days as a jazz singer in the 60s. Her cane wasn't just a tool, it was her independence, her pride. We'd been in the neighborhood barely 3 months when Karen started her reign of terror. She'd patrol the streets with a clipboard, citing people for untrimmed hedges or unauthorized porch decorations. Her latest obsession enforcing the HOA's no-clutter rule, which she interpreted as a license to terrorize anyone who didn't fit her vision of perfection. It started with small things. Karen left passive-aggressive notes on our doorstep about Grandma's potted geraniums being too bright for the neighborhood aesthetic. Then she complained about the ramp we'd installed for Grandma's wheelchair, claiming it lowered property values. I ignored her at first, chalking it up to her being a busybody with too much time on her hands. But Grandma, bless her, tried to make peace. She'd wave at Karen from the porch, offering her homemade lemonade. Karen would just purse her lips and walk away, muttering about standards. The tension simmered for weeks. Karen's notes grew nastier, her visits more frequent. She'd stand outside our house, taking photos of Grandma's garden gnomes like they were evidence in a crime scene. I'd catch her glaring at Grandma as she shuffled to the mailbox, her cane tapping rhythmically on the pavement. It was like Karen saw her as a blemish on her perfect little kingdom. I should have known it was building to something uglier, but I never imagined she'd stoop so low. One crisp October morning, I was sipping coffee on the porch when I heard a clatter from the curb. I peeked out and saw Karen, in her pristine khakis and pearl earrings, tossing Grandma's cane into the trash bin like it was a piece of garbage. My heart stopped. Grandma had left it by the mailbox after struggling to retrieve the mail. She'd been too tired to bring it inside. I ran out, barefoot, yelling. "What the hell are you doing?" Karen didn't even flinch. "This is a violation of HOA rules," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "Unattended items on public property are considered litter. I'm doing my job." "That's my grandmother's cane," I shouted, my voice cracking. "She needs it to walk." Karen shrugged, her lips curling into a smug smile. "Then she should be more responsible. Maybe you should consider a nursing home if she can't keep up with basic rules." I was shaking, my fists clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. Neighbors started poking their heads out, drawn by the commotion. Mr. Jenkins, the retired veteran across the street, looked horrified. Mrs. Patel, who ran the book club, was already recording on her phone. I wanted to lunge at Karen, but I knew that'd only make things worse. Instead, I fished the cane out of the trash, its handle smeared with coffee grounds, and stormed back inside to check on Grandma. She was in her rocking chair, knitting, oblivious to what had happened. When I told her, her face crumpled not in anger, but in shame. "I didn't mean to cause trouble." "Lila," she whispered, her voice trembling. "That broke me. Grandma, who'd survived a war, raised 3 kids, and never let life knock her down, was apologizing for existing." I hugged her, promising I'd handle it. But inside, I was boiling. Karen wasn't just a bully, she was a monster. That's when I called my sister, Nora. She's 5 years older, a criminal lawyer with a reputation for tearing apart anyone who underestimates her. Nora's the kind of person who walks into a room and makes everyone sit up straighter. When I told her what Karen did, she was silent for a moment, then said, "Lila, I'm coming over. This ends now." Nora arrived the next day, her sleek black SUV pulling into our driveway like a war machine. She was all business in her tailored blazer, her dark hair pulled back in a bun, but her eyes, they were fire. She didn't just want to fix this. She wanted to make Karen regret ever crossing us. We sat down with Grandma, who was still shaken but insisted on being part of the plan. "I don't want her to hurt anyone else," Grandma said, gripping her cane. Nora nodded, her jaw tight. "She won't." The first step was gathering evidence. Nora had me dig through the HOA bylaws, which Karen treated like scripture. Turns out her no-clutter rule didn't explicitly cover personal medical devices like canes. Karen was overstepping, big time. Then there was Mrs. Patel's video, which had captured Karen's smug toss of the cane and her callous words. It was already circulating on the neighborhood's private Facebook group, with comments piling up, calling Karen out. But Nora wasn't satisfied with online outrage. "We need to hit her where it hurts," she said. "Her ego." That's when the twist came. Someone we never expected stepped into the fray. Mr. Jenkins, the quiet veteran who'd seen the whole thing, knocked on our door that evening. He was a wiry man in his 70s, always keeping to himself, but now he looked furious. "I've had enough of that woman," he said, his voice low but steady. He revealed something shocking. Karen had been harassing him for years, ever since he'd put up a small flagpole in his yard to honor his fallen comrades. She'd fined him repeatedly, claiming the flag was too political. He'd kept quiet, not wanting trouble, but seeing Grandma's cane in the trash pushed him over the edge. "I've got documents," he said, pulling out a folder stuffed with HOA fines and threatening letters from Karen. "Use them." Nora's eyes lit up. This wasn't just about Grandma anymore. It was about a pattern of abuse. She spent the next 2 days building a case, combing through Mr. Jenkins's documents and interviewing neighbors. Turns out, Karen had been extorting people for years, using vague HOA rules to impose fines and pocket the money for community improvements that never materialized. The more we uncovered, the angrier I got. Karen wasn't just a control freak, she was a thief. The confrontation came at the next HOA meeting, held in the community center. Karen stood at the podium, her usual smug self, rattling off complaints about mailbox colors and lawn ornaments. The room was packed, the air thick with tension. Neighbors whispered, glancing at Nora, who sat in the front row, her laptop open and a stack of papers in front of her. I was next to her, clutching Grandma's cane, my heart pounding. When Karen opened the floor for comments, Nora stood up. The room went silent. "Karen," she began, her voice calm but sharp. "You've been abusing your power as HOA president for years. You've harassed residents, imposed illegal fines, and now you've stooped to throwing an elderly woman's cane in the trash." Gas rippled through the crowd. Karen's face went red, but she tried to laugh it off. "That's absurd. I was enforcing the rules." Nora didn't blink. She projected Mrs. Patel's video onto the wall, the footage of Karen tossing the cane playing on a loop. The room erupted in murmurs. Karen stammered, That's taken out of context." But Nora was relentless. She presented Mr. Jenkins' documents, showing a pattern of harassment and financial misconduct. She cited the HOA bylaws, proving Karen's actions were unauthorized. And then, the knockout punch, Nora revealed she'd filed a formal complaint with the state's attorney general for embezzlement, backed by evidence of Karen's misappropriated funds. Karen's smug facade shattered. She screamed, "This is a witch hunt," and lunged for Nora's laptop. But Mr. Jenkins stepped in, his voice booming. "Sit down. Karen, you're done." The crowd roared in agreement. Karen's husband, who'd been sitting quietly in the back, stood up and walked out, his face pale. That was the moment I knew she'd lost everything. The aftermath was swift. Karen was removed as HOA president that night, the vote unanimous. The Attorney General's office opened an investigation, and within weeks, Karen was charged with embezzlement and harassment. Her pristine house went up for sale, her reputation in tatters. Neighbors stopped by to apologize to Grandma, bringing flowers and casseroles. She smiled, her old spark returning, but I could tell the ordeal had left a mark. One evening, as we sat on the porch, Grandma took my hand. Lila, you and Nora gave me back my dignity, she said. But this isn't just about me. It's about standing up to bullies. I nodded, thinking of Karen's downfall. She thought she was untouchable, but she didn't know who she was messing with. My sister, the lawyer who'd spent years taking down bigger sharks than her. Nora, ever the strategist, suggested we start a petition to reform the HOA, ensuring no one like Karen could take power again. The neighborhood rallied behind it, and for the first time, I felt like we belonged here. But the scars lingered. Every time Grandma reached for her cane, I saw a flicker of fear in her eyes, like she was afraid someone might take it again. Karen's story didn't end with a grand apology or redemption arc. She moved away, her name a cautionary tale whispered at neighborhood barbecues. Some said she'd learned her lesson. Others thought she'd just find another place to terrorize. Either way, her actions had consequences, and that was enough for me. What do you think? Was Karen's punishment fair, or did she deserve worse? Share your thoughts. I'm curious to hear what you'd have done in our shoes.